Love and romance, like all else, alter and are shaped throughout the years based on the social and economic status of the world. However, the idea of obsessiveness throughout relationships has stayed constant despite the alterations of romance. How people act within or outside relationships, perceive romance, and how love is portrayed are effectively demonstrated or contrasted within texts from their respective times. This is evident in the poems of Robert Browning and The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. Although to effectively perceive this, the given texts are not sufficient, as the inclusion of a third relevant text, such as Me and My Husband by Mitski, would prove useful, as it contradicts the views of love and romance during the modern era. Among various poets, Robert Browning was one who created romantic tragedies Porphyria's Lover and My Last Duchess, which both reflect Robert Browning's critiques of romance during the Victorian era and outline the possessive and misogynistic views by men on women.
Since none puts by the curtain I have drawn for you but I.
Manipulates the syntax to begin with the limiting power of others to see the Duchess, and concludes with the overarching power of the Duke, thus further enforcing the authoritative and possessive behavior of the Duke for control over the Duchess. Additional traits of possessiveness and objectification stray from the title with words of obsession, words of quantity, and clarification, which fully support the ideas within the poem and the social views of women at the time. Obsession is then further displayed in the jealous acts of the Duke as seen in
She smiled no doubt whene'er I passed her, but who passed without much the same smile?
where the Duke complains about not being the sole purpose of the Duchess' enlightenment, and with this the Duke gave commands for all smiles to be stopped together. The light-hearted idea of murder and possession within the poem highlights the key values and ideas present during the Victorian era. These same ideas were seen as the norm back then, as reflected in the last line of Porphyria's Lover, where God has not said a word, referring to God himself, not contradicting the actions of killing the woman. This is seen as justification that what he has done is right, as the word of God is strong due to the ties of religion during the Victorian era. The ideas of love being obsessive and male dominant is conveyed through the poems of the time with Robert Browning. The views and ideas of romance and love are reflected directly within written texts such as The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. The novel, while fictional, closely relates to the reality in the 1920s, with the character Gatsby following the path of Fitzgerald himself. This close relation with realistic events of the time emphasizes the connection between the portrayal of love in the novel and in the Roaring Twenties. Romance within the novel is a sea of obsessive behavior, losing feelings, and loving emotions. Relationships portray both the issues and the connections of romance in the 1920s. One character, Gatsby, demonstrates his obsession with Daisy by devoting his whole life to her despite her being married to Tom. This obsession is seen with Gatsby's wish for Daisy to go to Tom and say I never loved you, and destroy their marriage, completely disregarding the social norms and Tom Buchanan to be with Daisy. These rebellious actions give insight not only to the obsessive love that Gatsby has for Daisy, but also the withheld feelings for her that Gatsby was unable to express earlier. These feelings, while still fresh for him, are outdated and must stay in the past where they belong. His inability to grasp that he has truly lost Daisy restrains him from ever letting go to the feelings he once felt. Hence he will always hope for what they had in the past and be in denial of the truth with obsession. Furthermore, love and romance within the novel portray the idea that relationships must be between two people who feel a spark between them. The disconnection, or commonly known as falling out of love, with a person's significant other fuels the need for a connection with another and ultimately leads to affairs as seen with Tom's marriage with Daisy and relationship with Miss Wilson. The marriage between the two formed as Tom believed that a young wife would make him look good and Daisy wished for a man who could take care of her. This idea and lifestyle quickly disinterested Tom to the point that he had an affair with Miss Wilson. Marriage, being built upon this idea of a spark, will quickly succumb to disaster, seeing that the spark between two people is extremely hard to keep together, as mentioned by modern-day artist Mitski. Modern-era romance and love is heavily infused with the idea that a relationship must be full of dates, gifts, love, and romantic gestures. The idea that there is one person who is perfect for the rest of your life and that a relationship with this person will always have a spark and be beautiful is what the song Me and My Husband contradicts. Mitski intended to contrast the modern perspective of romance with the portrayal of a housewife who is lonely in her marriage but is devoted to living this life she has chosen. Early within the first verse, it is deduced that Mitsuki talks about how short life is and that after death she will be nothing forever with all the things she has experienced and herself vanished. The use of a syndeton emphasizes the idea that everything her life has to value, the memories, the things she has seen, her eyes, body, and herself, will all go to waste. The first verse is seen as a general depiction of relationships being blinded with emotions of obsession and the idealistic situation where you find the perfect person and live forever with a spark. This world-ending pessimistic theme is quickly contrasted with the chorus as Mitsuki talks about how she at least has her husband and that they are doing better together. Furthermore, the chorus demonstrates Mitsuki's acceptance and consideration of the situation that she is in within the song. Following solemnly behind the chorus is the second verse where she talks about how without her husband she feels like the idiot with the painted face, either referring to the level of applied makeup to fit with beauty standards or her fake emotions to paint the reassurance to others that she is truly okay with her life as it is. In the corner, taking up space, referring to her being a nuisance to society and others. The verse continues with her revealing that she only feels love when she is with him. During this verse, a change in volume can be heard within the last lines where Mitsuki begins to lift her voice and project louder that she is loved by her husband. Finally, this idea that she is loved is reinforced with the chorus, this time with repetition of the last lines to firmly reinforce the ideas that they are happy and have accepted this life with each other. This song challenges the views of romance and love within society and the modern day era in an attempt to demonstrate how the obsession between two people and the spark can be damaging. Mitsuki follows similar ideas of S. Scott Fitzgerald and Robert Browning by portraying the relevant ideas of love within their respective eras. Mitsuki proceeds to differ from these previous authors by contrasting the modern views on romance and love in an attempt to spread awareness to the normality of scarce obsession within marriages and relationships. Overall, I feel that the Sydney Writers' Festival would benefit greatly from the inclusion of a text from the modern eras such as Me and My Husband by Mitsuki when discovering that obsession remains a key part of love and romance despite its alterations over time.